Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 243 of Screw the Commute podcast. This is Mike Stewart week, and that's appropriate because he's the one got me started creating quality audio over 20 years ago. And he was on the other day, Wednesday, talking about podcasts, and he has this great service. I mean, literally, I always tease about done for you services, and they should be called done to you because the people selling them are a bunch of shysters, but he's not. So he has this service where you can just get on and talk, and he does everything else for you to create a high quality podcast. So check out episode 242. But today we're going to talk about something really cool. I guarantee you never heard about it before. Nobody else on this earth is doing it like Mike is doing it, or doing it at all. So I'll tell you about that in a minute. All right, grab a copy of our automation ebook. It's at screwthecommute.com/automate free. And it allows you to just handle tons of customers and prospects way faster than you're doing now, and saves you carpal tunnel syndrome from typing all day long, and just amazing stuff that I've used for years and years and years to allow me to handle enormous numbers of subscribers and customers. All right, and while you're there, check out our screwthecommute.com app for our podcast app, and it's at screwthecommute.com/app. And today we're working on a video to show you how to use all the fancy features, but we already have screen captures at that address, screwthecommute.com/app, to show you how to use this on the road. I mean, if let's say you're listening to a podcast and you get a call, well, the podcast will pause itself automatically. You take the call, and then it'll start back up where you were as soon as you end the call. So it's really all kinds of stuff like that. So you can take us with you on the road on your cell phone and tablet. Our sponsor is the Internet Marketing Training Center of Virginia. It's a distance learning school which teaches legitimate techniques to make a great living, either working for someone else or starting your own online business, or both. Why not both? You can check it out at imtcva.org. It's the only licensed, dedicated internet marketing school in the country. I started it because in this field, you are surrounded by ripoffs. I mean, you can swing a dead cat and run into somebody telling you how to get rich on the internet, and they're driving a broken down Hyundai or Pinto or something. Even so I went through 3 years of licensing and background checks and financial checks to get the license. So we're the only one in the world that has it. So check it out at imtcva.org, and everything we do will be in the show notes. This is episode 243. So you go to screwthecommute.com/243, and there's going to be some really cool things on this episode that you'll want to check out. All right, let's get to the main event. Mike Stewart is the president and founder of Stewart Internet Solutions. It's an internet consulting agency and services company located in Nashville, Tennessee, US of A. And Mike has composed countless radio jingles, television scores, and produced or performed on music that was heard all over the world. He's worked with countless world-famous people, like people from the Atlanta Rhythm section, Alicia Bridges, Isaac Hayes, even. Listen to that. And he's got a gold record for an 80s hit, Pac-Man Fever, when he was a member of Buckner and Garcia, the band that did it. And listen to this. He recorded the theme to Disney's Oscar-nominated movie, Wreck-It Ralph, in 2012. Mike, are you ready to screw the commute again this week?
Yes, I love that screw big time.
All right. Oh boy, so we got a very cool topic there. We won't rehash everything. They can go back and listen to Wednesday's 242. This is 243. Yeah, so they can listen to 242. We'll do all new stuff today. So tell them about this unique marketing thing that you have developed.
Well, I'd love to. you talked about my bio there, how I was involved with music for so many years. I am a musician. I am a songwriter. And the way I made a living in Atlanta for many, many years was writing advertising music for television and radio. And in television and radio and advertising music are my foundations of years of experience. And then about the time I met you, I was making a transition to understanding how the internet marketing world worked. And I'm just as passionate about what the internet does. But to me, the internet is nothing more than a modern today radio and television.
Mm-hmm.
Podcasts are radio, YouTube is television, Netflix streaming. In other words, the technologies of delivery of the content have changed, but not the principles that worked as many as the invention of radio, which was 1926. When they invented radio, they didn't know how to make any money with it. They just knew people would buy the little boxes and have them in their living rooms, and they could deliver content. And then they said, okay, if we build a big enough audience, we can sell advertising. And that was the model that worked all the way up to World War II. And then, of course, it flourished after World War II with radio and television. The models are there. So one of the biggest models of advertising that I was involved with was what we used to call jingles.
Mm-hmm.
And jingles are when you take a marketing message, a slogan, or something, a positioning statement about a business, and you add a melody, a memorable melody to those verbiage messages, short messages or whatever. It creates a psychological phenomenon called an earworm or a brain worm. But what it does is it enables for people to an earworm is I get a set of lyrics and I can't get it out of my head. You ever had a song stuck in your head and it just plays all day long and you can't, and it's involuntary?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you about this, Mike. I don't know if you know this, but I used to do TV commercials and do voiceovers for jingles back in 30, 40 years ago. And this one, I can still remember to this day. I was the bartender on an Iron City Light beer commercial, and it was, "Hey, give me an icy light, an icy light." And 40 years later, I can't.
You still remember? You remember the product?
Yep.
And you remember the melody?
Yep.
Well, Google earworm and read about it. That is called the psychological phenomenon of earworms.
Wow.
And advertisers knew that if we, and in fact, one of the things we used to do to prove that it was real is that when we would pitch jingles back in the 80s, we would hum a melody. And I don't know if let's just test. You're old enough, you may remember this, but this is what we would do. We would just play a melody. Da 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 da. Now, have you ever heard that melody before?
I have. Yeah, I can't.
Okay.
I haven't. The worm hasn't grabbed me yet, though.
Okay,
right.
I'll say one word and see if you can say the rest of it. Winston.
It's a smoking. It's a cigarette. Yeah.
Winston tastes
good, like a cigarette should.
There you go. See the earworm. That hasn't run since 1971.
Right.
Cigarette commercials were made illegal. That jingle. It's still implanted. And see, it fades over time, but that's the power of it. Now, I'm going to play a modern jingle and see if you can do the rest of it.
All right.
We are farmers.
Da, 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 da.
Okay, look, you didn't even think.
All right.
Now, when I was a kid, if you went up and said, "We are farmers," I'd say, "Well, do you plant corn or tobacco?"
Exactly. Right.
But because of that earworm, the world knows it's insurance. That's the power of an earworm. You when I didn't play the whole thing for you. You just went, to me, they spent millions of dollars in advertising to go bump it up, bump, bump, bump. I mean, that was wasted copy space in my book.
Right.
So there's all kinds of earworms. Earworms jingles are prevalent in radio and television advertising. Very prevalent. Younger people don't think of it as jingles, but that's what they are. And I mean, I can actually, play you some Liberty Insurance.
Mm-hmm.
They go Liberty, Liberty, Liberty 4 times. And people say, I've actually had people say they hate their radio ads. They hate that jingle, but you remember it. When I was a kid, liberty was what we fought for.
Right.
And now it means insurance. So that's the power of an earword. So we've established that. And that is a known advertising mechanism from an auditory standpoint that's been used on radio television for years. So now today, if podcasts are radio, if YouTube is video, and if paid video and audio advertising is possible on the internet.
YouTube is TV, you mean, right?
Yeah, YouTube is TV.
Right.
My apologies. I started realizing, oh my gosh, this is a place to use the earworm psychology. However, I discovered something else. And let's go into this. If you've never heard the word SERP terms are the words that people type into Google or any search engine for that matter, but mostly Google. And they stand for search engine results page.
Right.
So when people type phrases into Google, what comes up first is called the SERP term results. And we all want to be number one for generic terms. Internet marketing coach, internet school. You would love to be number one in the world for that. And sometimes you are, but lots of times you're not number one for generic terms. But they're usually, most every business is number one in the world for their unique SERP terms. And what I mean by that is, just to give you an example, Internet Marketing Training Center, 4 words, Internet Marketing Training Center. If I type that in Google, you dominate.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the SERP terms that if people were hearing it as an earworm, they would automatically know what to do. So we developed making jingles that say 3 things. Your guaranteed SERP term first page results. A 1 line about what you do, what I call the positioning statement, and a phone number if you want to. And I want to tell you the story how I discovered this. We had, when in the last episode, we talk about how I have a podcast about pest control companies. And my partner, Hal Coleman, used to sing jingles back in the 80s for me. I had a dear friend years ago that was a master at selling jingles. He came up with back then it was 1980 and Winston was still prevalent on decision makers' minds. So he'd go in and play that, and he was showing the power of having a jingle sing your business name. And that's how he used to sell them all the time. And so Hal was a young singer, songwriter, and he came to my house, and he used to sit on my commode with a microphone in front of him because I didn't have a vocal booth. And people laughed, and he sang jingles, and Larry used to go out and sell these jingles all over the Southeast for banks. And we told that story at one of our workshops, much like your butt camp. We had a pest control butt camp. We don't call it that. We call it,
bug camp.
Next level.
You should call it bug camp.
It's a bug camp, yeah. And one of our attendees, see, here's another lesson. Your attendees will open your eyes to things that you've forgotten about.
Right.
And his name is Eric Gardner. And I'm going to give out his SERP terms. Volunteer rid a pest. Those are his SERP terms. If you search Google, I dare you to do it. He dominates Google for volunteer rid a pest.
Now, volunteers, is that from Tennessee? You mean the Tennessee Volunteers, right?
Yeah, he's in Chattanooga, but the name of his business, and now nobody is searching volunteer rid a pest unless they know.
Right.
So Eric comes up to me at breakfast the next morning, and he says, "I didn't know you clowns did jingles." Well, I did them 25 years ago when I had my studio, and then I got into the internet and said, "Oh, to heck with that." He said, "Well, let me tell you something." He said, "I'm in Chattanooga," and he said, "There's a lawyer who has owned the radio and owned TV. And he does his lawyer bit, and then every commercial ends with Charles Pittman is the way to go. Call 555-0000. And he says, I can't get that SOB's phone number out of my head. It was just short and sweet. Call Charles Pittman. He's the way to go. Call 552-00, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I said, well, Eric, I said, that's a known strategy called an earworm. He says, I can't get his phone number out of my head. He said, I want that. I said, well, those are called SERP terms. And I said, I'll go home and I'll write you a jingle. So you want to hear what I wrote him?
Yeah, play it.
Yeah, all right.
Can you
All right,
play it
here
on
we
here?
go. Yeah, I can play it on there. Here, give me 1 second here. So here's what we did.
Hey, this is Eric Gardner with Volunteer Ridipest right here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We've been serving the greater Chattanooga area since 1970, and in those 49 years of doing business, we have developed the most effective treatment strategies in the industry. We're so confident in what we do, we offer a 5-year, 100% money-back guarantee on all termite treatments. That's right, for 5 full years, if you find a termite in your home, we'll come back and retreat the entire home for free, refund 100% of your money, and pay you an additional $250 for your time and trouble. Nobody else in Chattanooga does that, so if you want a termite-free home, call us today at 698-7205. That's Volunteer Ridipest, the pest authority in Chattanooga. Call 698-7205 or Google Volunteer Ridipest.
Google Volunteer Ridipest. No bug will survive. Call 698-7205.
698-7205.
Right. And of course, what we did, he was doing it for radio.
Mhm.
And that was his actual radio spot. But his jingle is his SERP terms, Google, and we actually say the word Google Volunteer Ridipest.
Mhm.
No bug will survive. We got a rhyme for every
Right.
number.
Right,
you
right.
know? And then you say the phone number. So it's the SERP term, what you do, and your phone number. And then I said, Eric, have you ever thought about doing YouTube advertising? He said, what's that? I said, have you ever gone to YouTube and, you search for a video on, how to change a spark plug or whatever, and then all of a sudden an ad comes up. I said, that's called a pre-roll video ad. And he said, yeah, I do that all the time. I said, well, the whole world does that. They're on their cell phones and they're looking on, recipes and, anything. I said, well, you can go into YouTube and run commercials of any length. And he said, most people are going to skip them. But I said, if we preload the YouTube video with your jingle, and even if they skip it, they still hear, we preload it with the just the SERP term jingle. And I'll get it. So they're coming on here. And the minute the ad comes on, it goes.
Volunteer.
It starts here. Google Volunteer Ridipest.
No bug will survive. Call 698-7205.
What we found out is 90% of the people will skip the ad, but they still hear the earworm.
And he got it for free because they skip it within 30 seconds. That thing is totally free, and they got the earworm stuck in their head.
Right. So now they know his SERP terms via a jingle, SERP term jingle. And just the stats on him, he saved $20,000 on his advertising in 2019, and his business is up 20%.
Yeah, and he targets just Chattanooga area or whatever his service area, because there's no sense playing that in Los Angeles or something.
Right.
Yeah.
You can go in and do a 50-mile radius of any market.
Right.
Now, so do you have any questions on the concept here?
No, it's brilliant, especially that one on YouTube, because as I said, you're placing that earworm in many cases for free. Because
absolutely,
and that person might sometime later need the service. Maybe they didn't need it right then, or they're really desperate to see the video that they were wanting to watch, so they skipped it, but they still got that stuck in their brain for free.
Even if they're not listening, we've got it down to a science. If people hear a jingle 20 times, it's in your subconscious, whether you want it or not. 20 listens. So we actually had a client call up and said, would you stop playing your jingle on my YouTube videos? Which we don't care. So the other thing is that as I researched this more, Spotify, you can either do national, worldwide, or even zip code advertising
right.
in YouTube. Well, Spotify, you can, there's over 180 million listeners that don't buy the service. So those are non-skippable ads, and you can get targeted listens for a penny a piece. About $300 will get you about 30,000 listens.
Yep.
And we've been running these jingles, the earworm, because what it is, the more people that hear it, the more times they hear it, you become, 6 months from now, golly, you know of a pest control agency? Well, Google volunteer rid-a-pest. Their phone number, it's using music and an old tried and true strategy with YouTube, Spotify, Pandora is another advertising, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, all of them will take online advertising. It's internet advertising using jingles. That's what SERP term jingles are. And now I want to show you some examples. Daniel Hall, our good friend,
sure.
Daniel Hall. We tested to get his SERP terms are bestsellerbuilders.com. And he doesn't want phone calls. He just wants people. So here is the bestseller builders SERP term jingle.
Go to bestsellerbuilders.com. We help authors get it done. Book success is #1 with bestsellerbuilders.com.
So you sing your SERP terms, you tell people what you do in 1 or 2 sentences, and then you close with a closing statement, whether it's your phone number or your URL again. Singing your URLs. This and what now? What is another use of this? All of our clients, they put their jingles, now a word from our sponsor, and then, you have a song, screw the. Let's just out of curiosity. I'm in Google right now. Screw the commute. If I search those, oh my God, you dominate Google for those 3 words.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Okay, so all we're doing, and that's really the whole thing, is know your SERP terms, create a musical identity that you can have legal aspect to. The reason I moved to Nashville is because you throw a rock in Nashville, Tom, and there's somebody talented or famous.
Yeah, right.
And sadly, as much as I love these music people here, when it comes to marketing, they really struggle.
Yeah, they're great artists, but not, it's very typical. A great artist, but not a great marketer. And
so when you say, I got paying work, it's like, who do you want? They're all hungry. So, and I love being able to give paying work to these talented people because they're so deserving.
It sounded like you had 50 people, singing that jingle. Is that just the same person with different octaves or something?
Well, I'll tell you what I do.
It didn't cost $20,000-$30,000 for that, did it?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It's very affordable. Very affordable. A few $100. I watched The Voice to learn who lives in Nashville. Because about every other, Susan and I love watching The Voice because she says, could he sing? No, he can't sing. Could he sing? I say, oh my God, he's great. And so, because she's got a deaf ear on music, but that's my passion. Mm-hmm. But I like going, oh, okay, I'll write that guy's name. I'll go find their Facebook, and then I become friends with them, and then I go have coffee with them, and then they become a partner. So Adam Cunningham is who was singing that jingle, those 2 jingles.
Oh wow, yeah.
Adam came in #3 on The Voice on Blake's team, and let me tell you, The Voice is reality TV. You don't go on The Voice to. They haven't had 1 star come from The Voice. It's because it's reality. He said it. It's reality television. It's great exposure, but the music business and becoming a star is a really long journey. And but those shows are so popular, and people have their 15 minutes of fame and then they move on. So Adam is a great singer in town. And so he's become a friend, and especially, the best way to make a friend is get him a gig and pay him.
Right, exactly, right. Yeah.
So knowing the music business, knowing the jingle business, and knowing the internet, I've kind of merged all of these into what I call earworm SERP term jingles. If you say, well, look, here's what I want. I want to sing all these words, and I want to sell everything in my sing. No, that's not what this is. If if you want to help, it's triple the price. Or if you do what we know, if you do,
I saw a thing at a gas station. It says labor $60 an hour or $160 if you worked on it first.
I saw the same thing. It says 60 an hour and $300 an hour if you help.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, this works. I have proof it works.
How long does it take to put together?
Oh, a day.
That's it. Wow.
Well,
now,
I mean,
see, because I'm sitting here thinking, I dominated on that Google search. Whoopee-doo. But I guarantee you there's 180 million people on Spotify have never heard of me,
right.
Or they might have heard, some of them may have heard of me, but they never heard of Screw the Commute and never, signed up for my podcast. And for a penny a piece, I mean, that's, it's like I'm on those ads for YouTube you're talking about, I'm paying from 2 to 4 cents a piece, but I still don't have the earworm. I got my face worm. And
wait a minute. Am I sensing that Tom Antione is maybe sold on this concept?
Could be. It could be. Yeah.
Be.
Now, now, can I sing it myself? No, that's $900 a minute. Then
the price just went up. Absolutely. As long as you give me an open check, you can sing anything you want. But you get no guarantees.
I haven't given you an open check in the past, but that was for a different thing.
I would never ask for that of my friend. Now, I don't want this podcast to get too long here today, but I got excited when I realized getting what you want is wonderful. And in other words, hey, I'd like Paul McCartney to sing this with Eminem doing the track. I want a rap track and I want Kanye West doing a rap over it. You know what? We could make that happen, but that's just ridiculous. Yeah. Why would you ask for that? Well, I don't like that because that's not country. I like big band music. I want it to sound big. I hate to equate everything to food. This is the McDonald's of jingles. You don't go to McDonald's and say, I want filet Oscar. They're going to go, well, we don't serve that. Here's what you get. It's a burger and fries and a shake.
But it works.
But it works.
You're not hungry.
You're not hungry when you leave. Now, if you want, creme brulee and a Dom Perignon, then you got to pay a whole lot more money. And
maybe you do. If you're flush with money, good for you. Okay, great. But it might not get you any better results.
Let me show you another e-commerce because this works for anything.
Yeah. You have more examples?
Yeah, I got some more examples here. This was a pillow company, e-commerce company, a friend of mine, and we did this one.
Go to GX Pillows for a good night's sleep you won't believe. Support and comfort for the rest you need. Go to GXPillows.com.
Yeah, they're gonna beat the My Pillow guy.
Yeah, and they're competing.
And he's spending a fortune.
Well, I mean, guess what? For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, go to mypillows.com. He has one.
Exactly.
Anyway, we've done Sauna Town, which is a sauna place. So we've done e-commerce, consultants, a psychic. I've done a psychic jingle. If you type in Sedona Psychic,
that's got alliteration in it right there.
Yeah. Sedona Psychic. My client Narup is #1 in the world for those 2 words, and she has a jingle that we put together. And I just don't have. I forgot I hadn't uploaded it to my phone. But I tell you, when I get with clients and explain this to them, they see it, they get it, and I don't see anybody else in the world doing it. I mean, it's what it is. I'm old enough to remember jingles and radio, but I'm not unliterate. That's not the right word. I understand the internet.
You're not ignorant of it. Yeah,
that's what I was looking for. Well, I am kind of sometimes, but I just said, oh my gosh, if this is radio, the principles we did 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago will still work because people are people. And they're listening on their phones, and planning SERP terms as earworms has a long time residual effect.
All right. So how do they have to get started with this? What do they have to do, and how do they contact you about it?
Well, you can go to serpmusic.com and see the whole story, and it's got my phone number. And some people may not have a SERP term, but generally they do. But you can go there and you can learn more about it. My phone number, the examples are there, and my phone number there. And how you can make it happen. And it's a very simple process. And tell me, if you call me, let me know that Tom, you heard this podcast and that Tom referred you.
Awesome. Yeah. So where should they go? SERP, it's SERP music.com. And that'll be in the show notes. This is episode 243. And wow, what a unique concept. And it's like I said, my wheels are spinning, because anytime you can get 1, 2, 3, 4 cents a visit or a exposure to someone in your target market, that's crazy. A good deal. That's why I've been preaching for a long time that the in-stream ads, or I might call them pre-roll, on YouTube are some of the best bargains out there, because you can get a lot of this. I wasn't going to call it earworms, but you can get a lot of branding exposure for free. And most people will tell you that it takes multiple exposures to get people to move, to do what you want. So if you can get them for free, and then some of them for a penny, 2, 3 cents a piece, I mean, that's the way to do it nowadays. That's for sure.
Well, like I said, you can run these on Facebook video ads. You put them in your podcast. There's a website called audiogo.com.
Mm-hmm.
AudioGo is a Pandora. It's where you place ads, audio ads in streaming all over the world. And then Spotify has the Spotify Ad Studio.
Right.
So in fact, I listen to these services to see who's advertising. Millennials, God bless them. I have 3 of them. I love them with all my heart, but they don't like advertising. So they skip it. And they don't like Spotify ads because they can't skip them. But the stats are 180 million people on Spotify don't buy the service. They listen to the ads. I listen to the ads to see, and it's usually tech companies that are advertising. It's never individuals,
and
it's
said
never
you can
local.
target. You can target, right?
Oh, you can go. 186 million ad-supported listeners. People spend 4.5 hours listening to this media. 24% higher call rate. This is at the AudioGo website. So the places to advertise, you don't have to get an ad agency. You can log in, create your own account, and test an ad, and you can get clicks from Spotify. A banner comes up, and if they tap on the banner, it goes right to your website. So it's even more powerful than radio advertising. But even with the YouTube pre-roll ads, we pray they skip them. We found out 30% of the people are watching the whole ad.
Wow. Now, do they owe you any royalties on these ongoing, or do they buying this outright, or what's the deal
What I
on
do
that?
is I do a lifetime license, depending on the market. But then I also manage ads for people. I've got which is very simple to do, but some people don't know what to do. So I manage it.
So you're an ad agency that basically.
To some degree, I can sit on my laptop on the boat and manage all this stuff.
Well, just because you're
I screw the commute.
You're a floating manager instead of a regular.
So at any rate, Mr. Antion, please give me a call after this podcast and let's discuss your program.
Yeah, Antion, Tom Antion, call him right away. Screw the commute today.
There you go. We might work on those a little. Anyway, that's the concept. You have any other questions? Because I know
good.
We got talk.
Yeah, that's good. So SERPmusic.com. Everybody check it out. I'm really going to blow this up, because this can this is probably the most unique concept in the 240 episodes I've done in Screw the Commute, because nobody is talking about this. Nobody has your background going back to you probably have created hundreds or even thousands of jingles over the years. And I'll remind them again, because I forgot yesterday, is the opening and closing music on this podcast Mike created from scratch.
Absolutely.
So this is a great concept. Well, thanks, Mike, for bringing this to us. This is Mike Stewart week at the Screw the Commute. And beautiful. I'm going to call Kanye and see if he wants to give me a freebie, and maybe Mariah Carey wants to do mine. I doubt it. Yeah, we'll take Adam any day. All right, man. Thanks so much.
All right. Have a great, let's talk again soon, Tom.
All right.
I love you, brother.
All right. Catch you later, everybody.